name's Lisa Schwartz. I've been here on YouTube for 12 plus years, 13 years. For most of my life, it feels.
It's like all sort of a blur because it happened. I got it postpartum. So I got home and a couple days later, I was like, I can't, I'm really having a hard time breathing. And everyone was like, it's just anxiety. Like literally everyone was like, girls, just anxiety. Even my doctor was like, I think you're okay. It's just anxiety. And at one point I was like, well, I feel like I have an elephant on my chest and like, I'm an anxious person, but like, this doesn't feel like feels something different. And she was like, well, since you said you're having trouble breathing, like I have to advise you to go to urgent care, but I feel confident that it's just anxiety. And everyone was wrong. It was
Wow.
not. I think my doctor was just as shocked as I was, quite honestly.
Do you remember hearing like a BNP blood test or remember hearing like them doing like certain testings for you?
Yeah, when I got, well, okay, so the other crazy thing was I had gotten home, I gave, birth, and I had a pretty like, as I'm learning, most women have a pretty traumatic birth. Like the experience was nuts. It was like a 3-day event. And so
Mm.
then when I left the hospital after giving birth, my body had blown up to like 3 times the size. I had
I'll
a pretty
see.
easy pregnancy. I didn't even really gain that much. I'm a pretty relatively small person. And after, I was like, I guess this is normal. And this is where I'm like, nobody in the hospital looked at me and thought something's wrong. I mean, I looked like I was in a fat suit. It was bonkers. Like it was not me. And that's where I'm concerned as to why my doctor didn't say anything. She came and saw me and gave me the
Okay.
okay to leave. And my blood pressure had dropped a bunch and this and that. So, anyways, parts of it come back in like waves, and then part of it I think I probably suppressed. But yeah, we did run a bunch of tests. I was in urgent care for like 24 hours, and then finally they moved me up to a room, and then
So they
they like
did send you to urgent care, and then
oh yeah,
from
first
there,
urgent care, then they at urgent care, they ran a bunch of tests and then they thought I was okay. And then they're like, you know what, they were wonderful. Let's just do one more. We're gonna take an x-ray of your lungs. And that's when they
mm,
noticed that my lungs were filled.
oh my gosh. See, I thank God. I'm so glad that you were able to get the diagnosis that you needed on time. So when I was listening into your story, because I know Miss Lisa has educated us all, you guys, on her profile. So make sure you follow her on her YouTube. That's Lisa Swartz. Okay, so you stated that you said that you had signs along the way that you knew that everything would be okay. That stood out to me.
I never went into full panic. First of all, I had like my best friend with me. I don't think she knew we were going to do like a whole 24-hour extravaganza, but she had taken me to urgent care. And having her with me for that whole process and through the ER was just like the calming force. She was freaking out inside, but she remained calm and kept giving me these like nods of like, it's going to be okay. We're going to figure this out. And like, I'm forever grateful for that. But along the way, there were like angels, truly, whether you believe it or not, like it was undeniable. The people that I encountered, that like part of me doesn't even know if they all really existed, but like there was
Wow.
one test that I was so afraid to do. And this like woman sort of appeared, and I was expressing to her that I was really afraid for this test. And she goes, I'll go with you. It's like, really? She's like, yeah, here's my
Oh.
number. Give it to them when they are going to pull you in for the test, and I'll be there. And sure enough, I was like, here, she said to call her. She showed up. She walked me through the whole thing. She put on the armor, you're not supposed to in when you get the x-rays or whatever. And she sat in the room and she talked me through the whole thing. And then
Wow.
just like disappeared, like not to be seen again. And then right before I got released from the hospital, I was in there for 5 nights. I got a knock on the door and she appeared and she was like, I just certain people like leave a mark on me and I just needed to check on you. And I was like, oh, I thought you
Oh.
weren't real along the way. Also, quite honestly, I had just given birth and like I was in such a postpartum haze that I don't even think I was really able to wrap my head around the severity of the situation. It was too big
Mm.
for me to really process that.
Right.
I'm a healthy woman who's never had big medical issues. I exercise, I eat healthy. Like, I think I'm still processing what had
Mhm.
happened.
So that's where I was trying to figure out where does the heart start deteriorating at? And you said that you were postpartum. Do you know how many weeks postpartum?
It was like 4 days. I
Wow.
was only
See,
home for like 4 nights.
oh wow. So 4 days, that's how long it took. And then your heart, do you remember what your ejection fraction was?
I think mine was either high 20s or low 30s. So it wasn't like
Mhm.
I mean, it was bad, but I was so in touch with my body that I recognized something was wrong. Just for all women out there, like, you gotta trust yourself. And if
Mhm.
everyone is telling you, no, you're wrong, or no, you're fine, I feel like even if you're a hypochondriac, you really do know when something's wrong. You're the only person, you have to be an advocate for yourself. So even if
Exactly.
everyone's telling you otherwise, you knew something was wrong. You knew to have your heart checked. You just knew.
Yeah. And then I know, like, because I'm a doula now, so I've like helped
Oh,
moms
that's
and stuff
wonderful.
figure out what ways that we can help others in the community. And so just being in that in experience, I'm seeing exactly how we get like a fear or something that comes over us with the doctors. Like we put all our trust into them and we just expect for them to know what's wrong or if something goes wrong, and if not, like we're probably too afraid to ask questions because we don't want anything to be wrong. I guess that makes sense. And so I do see a lot of the times where the women trust the doctors more than what they're feeling within themselves. And so we have to remember that we're the ones that's at stake here. So we have to make sure that we're listening to ourselves, our bodies, and being able to in tune. But I know a lot of women, especially younger women, don't really know what those signs would may be. Because when I went through the hemorrhaging, I was like 23, and
Oh
so
my God.
yes, I didn't know, and then I suffered heart failure after that. Like weeks after that, I was still 23. I was freshly married, newly 23, and so it was very crazy. And and I didn't have really a lot of support, I would say. And so that's another reason why like I did wanted to become an advocate and be able to see how we can help other moms that like hopefully to save them before that it gets to the point to where we had to suffer the heart failure. And if we're able to prevent it, but if not, it's like we have to educate the doctors at least so they could know which mom may be more subjective to actually develop the condition. How was your breastfeeding? Did you try to do breastfeeding, or did the doctor suggest that, oh, this might not be good?
Well, I had tried in the hospital before my diagnosis when I had given birth. I was in the hospital for 4 nights. I had a C-section. And so I was trying there, and then I came home and I was trying, and I was really having a hard time. It was really stressful for me, to the point where I was like contemplating before the heart stuff whether or not I wanted to continue. I wanted to try, I knew that, but I gave it myself the okay to like make that decision one way or another. And then when I was in the hospital, it was just kind of like all signs were pointing to like, I think it's better to not. I was gone for almost a week, so my husband was taking care of our baby. And so he was already doing formula. And I figured, you know what? There was a lactation consultant who was willing to help me suppress any milk while I was there. And I was like, you know what? I'm dealing with my heart. I'm dealing with my C-section. Might as well add one more thing. I'd made the
Oh,
decision. They were pushing.
how did they suppress it? Because I remember, like, I had two nurses that really saran wrapped my
Oh
boobs.
yeah, with the ice packs and the whole shebang.
Yes. Oh my
At that
goodness.
point, it was like the least of my worries because everything else was hurting so much. I'm just like, whatever, get it all done at once. So it was like kind of one of those like it was just not meant. It wasn't meant for me, and my baby is healthy and
Mhm.
thriving. So
That is so great. Yes, that's what I say. Sometimes it's for everyone, and sometimes it's best to not do it at all because and that's good that we have other options because some people don't know. Like some people can look at it as, oh, you didn't even try and all, but no, it's the fact that health wise, because I know that even if you probably would have continued, the medications that you were taking would have been harmful anyway. So it's like, okay, I don't want to give my baby harmful breast milk. If I have a way to give them a healthier feed, then that's what I'm going to do.
The mental health alone, I was like, the stress of this, it was just really hard for me. And so that was like an added stress that I was like, well, now I need to process the stress of not only postpartum, but also this heart thing. Let's just take that one thing off the table. So
do you feel like, because what we're now advocating for is for all pregnant moms to have a BNP blood test, and the BNP blood test is actually the brain natriuretic peptide test, and it tests the levels in our bloods to see if we're having any cardiac issues going on. Do you think that would be helpful?
100%, without a doubt. Also, you know what? Now thinking back, I was dizzy a lot and I would be on walks with the dog while I was pregnant, and like I'd have to like sit down and have my husband come get me. And I mentioned that to my doctor so many times, and she just told me it was part of pregnancy. And I also would get short of breath. And it was just all like, well, that's just part of.
Because a lot of moms, like, don't get me wrong, a lot of pregnant women experience the same symptoms that we experience, but our hearts start deteriorating, and it's the pregnancy itself, and they're not able to, they're unsure what part of the pregnancy goes wrong and starts attacking the heart. So you feel like having an advocate there, or a part, or at least virtual, to be able to have, is that help? Would it be helpful for moms in the
Yeah,
future?
I think absolutely. And just maybe even like I had a friend who was a nurse who was lovely, and she was definitely an advocate for me, but she also comes from the same medical background. And so it's not to say she like it was her fault or anything, not in the slightest, but I feel like it would be nice to have someone maybe with other sort of skills and training, not so specific the way that they do it in the hospital. So I guess that is what you're saying, like a doula.
I mentioned it to you in an email about the PPCM patient advocates, as having someone experience with the actual condition that can possibly be an advocate to know when to ask for a BNP blood test. Like, okay, you having certain symptoms, you swelling, you have some shortness of breath, and now that you've been through it, it's like, oh, I'm kind of familiar with that.
I want to be an advocate. Please let me like get in on that with you because
Yes, Miss Lisa, we're
I
gonna
want
be,
in. I want
yes.
in. I
Absolutely.
want to like empower people to ask questions and do things different. I also, so I was induced, and I feel that I didn't want to be induced, and I should have spoke up for myself, and I should have really, I mean, should have, would have. My daughter is healthy and amazing, so I'm grateful for that. Had I known better, I would have spoke up for myself. The induction went on for almost 3 days, and I wish I had it
What?
to be like, this isn't right. They pumped me with so much medication
And
every
do
time.
you know that that can be a trigger for increasing of the risk of PPCM?
I'm positive that's what did it.
Yes, because
I'm
the medications that they're using, as far as, not saying that they don't, not doing their job right, it's just particular pregnant women's bodies can probably progress the same as far as a normal mom, or a mom that's doesn't have a PPCM trait, because obviously once you get a PPCM, there's a trait that we actually develop, or that we have, and sometimes the trait is actually can be passed through our spouses. And so we did this in like a research, I believe 2 years ago, as far as like they're saying that the dads can be carriers of PPCM, and the mom probably isn't a carrier, but when you mate and you have the baby, the cells that forms, then the mom actually can develop, a
Isn't
PPCM. I'm
that
like, oh my.
terrible? Isn't that terrible? It's like, oh my God, not a good match, not a good match.
Right. So
Ugh.
not only that women have to be aware of this condition, but men too. Like, it's something for the dads to be aware of too, because it's like we don't know which one of us can carry it. And the doctors dare tell you they don't know who's gonna develop it until they develop it. And so that's dangerous. Because we have daughters now, like we have to make sure that somewhere down the line they have an advocate, and that they're aware of what mommy done they went through, and just to keep an extra eye out open. And just like, even for like me, or with my sisters, like she's not here now, and she has a daughter and a son, but what if I didn't go through what I went through to know what it was,
Right. That's
and to
right.
learn it, survived it, and now I'm able to educate them in a bit in a broader way.
Why why isn't it one of the tests up top? Like when I was getting pregnant, I feel like there were so many tests are included. You know, you do all those extensive tests at the beginning. Why isn't that included?
So I was told by one of the medical professionals in the past that because it's considered a rare condition. So
Yeah.
because it's considered rare, they was like they don't. A lot of doctors may not be getting a lot of moms with that particular condition. So like preeclampsia, they're used to diabetes, the gestational diabetes. So they're used to those main causes. But see now what we have in the research is that preeclampsia can later turn into PPCM. And so now you have to watch these women that develop preeclampsia because
That's
it can develop into a cardiovascular disease. And so if you're not giving us the test that we're needing because you're saying not enough women is dying. So they're basically saying because 200,000 women aren't dying a year from this PPCM condition, and mind you, it's 1 in 1,000 now. It was 1 in 1,300, but now with new research, it's 1 in 1,000 moms who are developing this condition. And I feel like it's ridiculous because a lot of moms, including my sister, had to go through losing their life when something that could have been preventable. They could still be here being moms, and we done lost a lot of heart sisters. Like, I'm not sure if you're still in the support group or how long you've been. I didn't even know you was in our support group.
Let me tell you what, I told you this before we started recording, but I'm so grateful for you because it's such a lonely diagnosis. Um, you're alone in the hospital, you know, like I was alone because everyone was at home taking care of our newborn.
Oh,
And I didn't know what this was. I had never heard of it before. And the Facebook group was like the only thing I could find. And it was so helpful. I felt like
oh,
there was a community of people that were experiencing this. And like I learned so much so quickly. And I think I'm sure I posted a few times, like it was just somewhere that I could
oh.
go and feel community and feel a sense of like understanding. So
Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
even just talking to you now is crazy. Like it's crazy because no one in my life really, nobody has it. God bless.
Mhm,
But like, and like you talk to other moms about your birth story, and like people are very kind, and
mhm.
but like it's just no one really gets it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yes, because sometimes other moms may feel like you're trying to scare them, or if you're trying to get them, and it's like, no, that's not the case at all. Like, we're not trying to scare them. Like, it
oh,
was one post I had to do like a couple of years back when I was first starting my advocacy journey, and it was like a lot of women, or even doulas, like other doulas or advocates that would kind of shun me out because they don't want to scare their moms or scare the patients into thinking that they're
yeah,
gonna. I'm like, are
yeah,
you know what? I'm gonna do this thing, whether you like it or not. I'm gonna be out here. I'm gonna talk. That's what we're here to do. We're here to talk PPCM. We're gonna talk about it as much as we can. We have daughters, so we have to make sure that they're gonna be educated as well as right. So if anybody is scared, imagine having a scared advocate or doula who doesn't want to scare you into, oh, I think that you may be having symptoms of this, and you keep
right.
it to yourself because you don't want to scare me or think anything's bad. And then I go into heart failure. I'm upset at you right now,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That's right. That's right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I totally agree. I'm so glad that you was able to find a group. And that's because I became like such a fantastic advocate for the condition itself, because I'm like, okay, the last article they had was in 2011, and I'm like, we are in 2020 something. Why is this the last research? Oh, nobody wanted to fund it. What? Okay, so we're
It's
gonna
like
do
some
this
weird
thing.
denial or something. People are like in denial of this. It's very bizarre. Well, actually, you just like sparked a reminder. So when I was in the hospital, there were a lot of students there that were
Mm.
like, or like what are they called? They're yeah,
Intern.
whatever. Yeah, interns or one lady came in to tell me what this was. And she was really nice and she like got down on my level, and my friend was there and she was telling me this thing, and it was so scary the way she was presenting it. And basically like, like you could die. Da, 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 da.
Oh my
She
God, they
left.
do that.
They do that. She left the room and my friend turns to me. She has her phone in her hand and she goes, she just read the Wikipedia and came in and recited it. She was like, I'm looking at it right now. And she basically word for word Wikipedia regurgitated. So don't listen to her. Let's remain calm. She literally doesn't know what she's talking about. And she
Oh,
probably did, because she probably had never experienced this before.
that's that's
I was
it. That's
so
it.
grateful for my friend, because she was like looking it up on herself, and she was like, she literally just recited the Wikipedia.
And that's what they do. And so you imagine having a doctor, you getting a life-threatening illness. Your doctor doesn't know what they're talking about.
Oh
So
my
they don't know
God.
how to treat you. And see, this is what happened when prior, just those 3 years prior. So from the difference between my sister, because see why they actually brought light to my story, because I had lost a sister and I survived the same condition that took her life. And so I've been years trying to figure out what went wrong. And so with her, just 3 years prior, not a long time in between, they had different medications that they were using for her. The medications didn't work for her. For her body. Her body kept rejecting everything they kept trying to give her. And she had stated that she didn't want this, it's a LVAD. I'm not sure if you heard that term, but it's like a device that pumps the heart just in case it gets too bad. And
Okay.
so she refused it. But we all didn't know that if you refuse it, it automatically removes you from the heart transplant. They don't tell the moms that. So she was unfortunately removed from heart transplant list. So mind you, we probably wasn't even finna get a call for a heart transplant, because she refused a device that is required to get this device to try to keep your heart pumping while we're waiting for a heart. And so when I found that out years later, I was heartbroken all over again. And mind you, we've been heartbroken and we're in heart failure. So
Yeah,
and then the
it's not great.
the doctor is saying you can't stress, you can't be depressed, like, and I'm like, you can't breastfeed, you can't do it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And the only thing that I don't know if you did cardiac rehab, did they like have you do exercises or anything?
I didn't. I think
What
I
was your treatment
recovered.
plan?
There wasn't much of a plan other than my medication and just monitoring my blood pressure and my weight. I did the little.
Okay.
I was so lucky. I recovered really, really, really fast. I mean,
You did. I saw the video. Okay, was it like 3 months later?
3 months later, I made full recovery, and then now my heart's like real good now. Leads me to believe they think it was either some sort of a virus, which is interesting, or I think, and you picked up on it too, I think it was all the drugs.
Yeah, because it's they're pumping us with fluid, and so the fluid is not. And then a C-section can also trigger as well. So we done had moms that actually coded on the C-section table because their heart is deteriorating during the pregnancy, and
Oh,
so you're getting cut on your body. They having you under this strong medication. We don't know what's going on with the internal organs, and so I remember asking my obstetrician when I went through that 5-hour surgery. I was like, which one you think was the worst? I thought the 5-hour surgery losing all my blood was the worst. She said, no, I think it was the heart, and I was like, really? Like, wow.
amount of drugs that went, like when I looked at my bill, like I was recently looking through my bill and I was like, oh my God. I
Yes.
said it to my husband. I was like, look, it was like a page of drugs. I mean, it was too much
Oh
for me.
my goodness. And how did he take everything? How was he? Was he handling things well as far as the spouse in?
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like he went through his own trauma because, he was at home with a newborn by himself. He
Right.
was so
Oh,
nervous about me and taking care of her. And like, it was just, I think we both sort of had a really hard time. But he
oh,
stepped up and stepped in, and he
that is amazing.
he did it. He was like Mr. Mom. It was
I'm telling you, that is awesome. I love to hear it.
on the cardiac floor.
What?
I was in the postpartum floor.
Oh my goodness,
So
when all that was going on?
So it was so weird. So I had left, I had the baby, they put us postpartum and we were there, and blah, blah, blah. They sent us home. And then when they brought me back, they didn't know where to put me. This is
Oh,
so
wow.
crazy. So I don't even think they knew it was my heart. So they put me back to where I had been with my baby. And so I was the only one on the floor with this heart condition, and I was the only one on the floor without my baby. And so every time someone would walk
See,
by, they'd say, "Congratulations," or whatever. And like
it's like a trigger.
oh
It's
my God, it really messed me up hard because I was like, this is
this is
awful.
not
And then
normal.
there's just babies and families like walking by. It was
That is
crazy.
very triggering. Yes. Oh my goodness, because
Like
you
that's
don't
the
know
room I
exactly
was
what I'm
in too.
going through.
Yeah, it was wild. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so glad
Listen,
you
I'm
was able to
grateful.
get. Yes, okay. Your PPCM is not gonna be taking lives like that because we fighting back now.
I'm back now, and I want
So,
in on everything you're doing. Please, I want to help others, and also just continue to give the community a voice and a place to like feel comfortable.
yes, Miss Lisa, that's why I'm definitely going to be connecting with you again. Do you have anything like in mind as far as like any ideas you feel like could be helpful?
I don't know. I want to like hear more about what it is that you're doing. You're doing doula work. But maybe if there's anything I could be doing out here in Los Angeles to help like on the
Oh,
ground type stuff too.
yes. Okay, yes, absolutely. We also just have released a magazine, so the Let's Talk PPCM magazine. So I would love to like feature you in it.
Oh my God, I'd be honored. Absolutely.
Yes, I want to feature you in it. And do you feel like from the condition? I know that you're healed now. You've been recovering, and it's great. Did they say you made a full recovery? Like, are you fully recovered? Like, okay, great. Do you feel like it's like kind of playing into your career wise, or do you feel like you can still get like little symptoms, or as far as like anxiety?
You know what? I think it got me to a point where I'm not that afraid anymore of anything. Like it's like, okay,
Because it's been
wow,
a year,
it's been a year. I mean, obviously it's always in the back of your head, like, could this happen again? I'm definitely not gonna have another
right?
child. Um,
Okay, you already made the decision. Like, no,
oh
this
yeah,
is it.
I made that decision.
Okay,
We're already like thinking that. I'm older too. Like I feel blessed that I had one healthy, beautiful child
right.
and she's perfect. So, why
Amen.
risk it again? And that was like too traumatic. I think my body was like, you're good,
It's
girl. You're
over it. Oh my gosh.
But I do
Yes.
feel more
See.
empowered. Like I'm not afraid to go. I'm more proactive about my health now. Like I'm not afraid to go to the dermatologist. I'm not afraid. Like it's like we'll just conquer whatever comes our
So
way
your
now.
medical anxiety, you feel like it got better.
Oh my God, yeah. Because you know what? Half the fear of medical anxiety is like, will I know something's wrong? Is something wrong? And it's like, listen, you will know if something's wrong. So
Right.
just trust yourself. You'll know.
Oh, I love it. Oh, thank you so much, Miss Lisa.
Send me a link, whatever you do. And then, yeah, let me know like how I can help maybe, I don't know, help expand what you're doing. I'd love to be more of an advocate and I don't know.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
love that. Okay,
Yeah.
Miss Lisa. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much. I don't want to be taking no more of your time. I'm so
Oh my
sorry.
God,
We had
thank
a
you.
late
This is a
start.
pleasure. Truly. Let's talk again soon once we finish and upload this and everything, and then let me know. Like I actually am like interested in the doula thing also. So I don't know. I'm
Really?
trying to figure
Yay.
out. Yeah, I want to know like where my career goes. So
Your
maybe
expertise can go from the surviving, because I always say, like, even to our heart sisters and for the newly diagnosed moms, I always be like, you know what, this condition, it makes us a star,
that's not
like
right.
we're unique, we're different, we're
Yeah,
built different, but we're gonna go out here and we're gonna use it to the best of our abilities. Like you said, it brought out some good, and so that's what we're gonna go with.
absolutely. You're a gem. Thank you so much for your time.
You are too. Thank you so much again, and we'll be in touch.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.